Monochrome Racing, the game that dares to ask what if colour was optional and fun was a luxury. When you first see this game, you might think, hey, that looks kinda cool, a top-down racing game with a stylish black and white aesthetic. Maybe it's like Micro Machines, and yeah, that's what I thought too. And then I played it, and now I understand what true despair tastes like. Welcome to the Worst Racing Games, the series where you guys suggest different racing games that you think are terrible, then I play them, review them, and rank them. After last week's fairly bland PS2 racer Corvette, the wheel has blessed us with Monochrome Racing. So without further ado, let's get into it. So Monochrome Racing released on the PSP in August of 2011. It also released on Nintendo Wii as a WiiWare title that same month. It was developed and published by a Lithuanian video game developer called Nordcurrent. Nordcurrent is a developer who somehow managed to make an entire career out of reminding us why quality assurance exists. They're the same masterminds behind the 101 in 1 Megamix, and a few different varieties of that same title that released in the DS and the Wii and a few other platforms back in the late 2000s, early 2010s. Basically, they just produced technically, yes, these are video game experiences. So when I saw Monochrome Racing, I figured, okay, top-down cars, a minimalistic look, maybe it's a neat arcade throwback at the very least. Spoiler alert, it's not. The premise is weirdly simple. You and 3 other cars drive on a black and white road, trying to reach the finish line or push each other off screen. Think Micro Machines head-to-head mode, but with all the charm, physics, and fun surgically removed. The name Monochrome Racing isn't just a description of the visuals, it's a warning, because every single aspect of this game feels drained of colour, energy, and soul. So after you boot the game up, it asks you to create a profile, which is adorable because it assumes you'll want to keep playing long enough to have any progress. Anyway, it showed me a variety of different characters I could select as my profile picture, because that's literally all they are. They don't have any personality, description, it's just a picture that you choose. So I went with this interesting looking guy and went on with my day. You're then tossed into career mode, where you have to choose from a lineup of cars that all look like someone fed clip art silhouettes into a blender. There are 12 vehicles in total, and you unlock them as you progress through the career mode, and then you have to buy them with the currency that you earn by completing events. They all have upgrades that feel about as meaningful as rearranging your couch cushions in a burning house. So you start with some cash, and after each race you earn more. In theory. In practice, it doesn't matter, because winning races is so absurdly easy that you could literally tape down the acceleration button and still come out on top near enough every single time. Now, the career mode also features over 80 tracks, which sounds great until you realise they all look like slightly different variations of the same track that have all been drawn by a toddler just scribbling on some paper who's also never seen a car turn before. Each race takes about 30 seconds to realise you've made a terrible mistake. Not because you're losing, but because you're winning, and it means you'll have to play another one. I'm not kidding when I say some races lasted less than 15 seconds. What's the point in even playing the game if the gameplay loop lasts less than 15 seconds? Now before we go any further, if you're a fan of racing games, or in this case, terrible racing games, then why not hit that subscribe button and tap the bell for notifications to stay up to date with my future uploads. And whilst you're at it, if you want to support this series or the channel further, check out my Patreon using the link in the description below. Over on Patreon you can get your hands on some cool goodies like early access to videos and your name in the credits of every single upload. Anyway, that's enough plugging the channel, let's get back to some absolutely terrible racing games. But here's the big problem. The handling. Imagine trying to steer a shopping cart full of bowling balls on a frozen lake while your hands have been coated in butter and oil. That's clearly the inspiration the devs of Monochrome Racing had. Every car oversteers like it's allergic to the concept of traction. Tap the stick a little too hard and your car spins out like it just saw a ghost. And the AI? They handle even worse. Watching them try to navigate a turn is like watching toddlers learn how to walk near a cliff. Half the time they crash into walls, each other, or even themselves. Sometimes they even turn around and start driving the other way. I don't know if it's an AI bug or if they're just having an existential crisis, but either way, it's somehow the most entertaining part of the game. This might have been forgivable if this game in inverted commas, had anything else to offer, some variety, some clever track design, maybe even a fun weapon system. But nope, the weapons are as lazy as the rest of the package. You get two, a bomb and a mystery circle thing. Cool, I guess. The circle is some kind of slowdown bubble you can drop behind you, except the AI is usually so bad they'll crash into walls before even reaching it, so like, who cares, what's the point? Okay, so now you might think, well, maybe it's a dumb little party game that's meant to be played with friends. Which sounds great on paper, but there's no multiplayer in the PSP. It's just the career mode. I believe the WiiWare version does have multiplayer, but I've not tested that myself. But in career mode, it's a joke. The races end after a single win, the AI barely functions, the only way you'll lose is if one of their random death spirals blocks the road and you accidentally join the car pileup. And that did happen to me a few times, and it was quite frustrating, but only frustrating because I knew that I was going to have to restart and keep playing this game. There's no challenge, no tension, no sense of competition, just the creeping realization that you're spending an afternoon beating an AI that can't tell left from right. It's not that the game's easy, it's just fundamentally broken. And it's the kind of broken that's not even funny after the third race. It's just sad. Between races, you're greeted by menus that make Windows 98 look futuristic. Every option requires an extra button press for literally no reason, which means you end up spending as much time navigating menus as you do actually racing. It's almost poetic in a way. You bought a racing game, and the most challenging part is the user interface. Now, visually, the game's monochrome style could have been quite cool. Black and white environments, cars glowing in bright primary colours, there's potential there. It's got this minimalist vibe that could have looked stylish, like an art project about racing. But instead, it feels completely unfinished. The contrast is so harsh sometimes, it makes it hard to even see the road, especially on a PSP screen. But enhanced on a computer screen, it still looks like total ass. And when everything looks the same shade of grey sadness, it's easy to lose track of where you are. The soundtrack are generic loops that sound like the free music that came with Windows Movie Maker. Each race feels like listening to elevator music during a fire drill. Sound effects are equally uninspired because the cars all sound like vacuum cleaners that gave up on life. There's no sense of speed, no adrenaline, just a droning noise that reminds you how long these races actually feel. On top of this, there's not even wheel animations for the top down, just tiny little animations on the images would have made it look just a little bit more polished. But no, you've basically got 4 different coloured JPEGs all in a low resolution, driving around the track. That's what this game boils down to. The saddest part of this whole ordeal is, the idea could have worked. The whole push your opponent off-screen concept was amazing in the old Micro Machines games. It created these intense, frantic moments where one wrong move could cost you the match. That risk-reward tension made it exciting. But Monochrome Racing takes that same idea, beats it up and buries it under lazy AI, boring tracks, and mechanics that punish precision instead of rewarding it. It's like watching someone take your favourite childhood game and reimagine it as a punishment in hell. I mean, the nicest thing I could probably say is, performance-wise, it's fine. It runs at a stable enough frame rate, but considering what's on screen, two-dimensional blobs sliding on grayscale roads. That's the bare minimum. Load times aren't long, thankfully, and honestly, that's about as much niceness as I've got. At a certain point, you start to question, who is this game even for? For kids? No, too boring. Adults? Nah, too broken. Masochists? Possibly? It feels like Nord Current saw Micro Machines and thought, yeah, but what if we made that worse, and then somehow overshot the target? It's not even so bad it's good, it's just so bad it's numbing. The kind of game that doesn't even make you angry after a while. You just stare at the screen like you're watching paint dry on a car you don't own. There's no personality, no charm, no ambition, just a grey void filled with cars that hate physics and AI that hates you. And themselves. Now on the plus side, this wasn't an expensive game. This cost about $5 on release on the PSP, or 500 points on the original Wii store. See, you could have bought this, or you could have bought an NES Classic on Virtual Console, and that would have been better. I mean, hell, even original Excite Bike feels more advanced than this. How do they manage that? It's just ridiculous. So now the time has come to rank Monochrome Racing on our worst racing games tier list. And if you couldn't tell from my very positive attitude this video, there is no other space on this tier list other than pure evil for Monochrome Racing to belong in. This has got to be one of the worst games I've ever played in my entire life. It's fundamentally broken, it's incredibly boring, it looks ugly, and its only saving grace is at least it doesn't cost that much, so that you wouldn't have lost loads of money buying this crap in the first place. I mean, even the critic reviews reflect this. There aren't any for the PSP version, but the Wii version currently holds a 25 out of 100 on Metacritic, with low review scores as low as 0. That's how bad this game is. Monochrome Racing on the PSP is one of those games that feels like it exists purely to make you appreciate better games. It's the diet version of a bad idea, all the taste of disappointment but with none of the flavour of fun. And yet, part of me respects it. Not because it's good, oh god no, but because it commits to being awful with such conviction. It doesn't just dip its toes into mediocrity like we normally see in this series, it cannonballs straight first into it, screaming, "Look Ma, I made a game." Like, I just don't understand how this could have possibly got past any kind of quality assurance. And so that takes us to the end of our look at Monochrome Racing, and with it this week's episode of Worst Racing Games. Now, what do you think of this game? Have you played it? Would you rank it any differently? Normally, I'd allow you guys to rank this game differently, but if you disagree, objectively, you're wrong. This game is terrible. Anyway, a massive thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe and tap the bell for notifications to stay up to date with my future uploads. A massive shout out to my Patreon subscribers for the continued support, and all I really have left to say is, please make better games, and bye bye.